party here.
Yeah, full house.
Here he is.
What's up?
Here he is. He's in the office.
Sure.
How you doing, Branch?
Good. What's up, James?
I'm good, man. Decent in a minute. It's, I didn't know you was coming on. Amp said you're coming on today, so I was like, I'll turn up. So I'm fortunate to be here to come catch up with you guys as well.
How's that little one doing?
Oh, love her, man. You didn't warn me how good being a dad is. Like, you told me it's good, but no one's warned me how good. I got you and Amp both telling me how good it is, and now I realize.
Yeah,
different, man.
My boy turned 2 yesterday, so
he's
enjoy it, man.
Bro, he's growing up fast. He's a handsome little chap as well.
So he's nonstop, man. He's either gonna keep me young or make me old real quick. I don't know.
I think he's gonna keep you young, man.
He's a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man. Glad you're happy, and I'm glad the family are good, man.
You too.
Yeah, I'm sure you're super busy, Branch. We do appreciate your time, especially with businesses and 2 kids and stuff. So we won't keep you too long. I don't know if you know Dan. Have you met Dan? Obviously, you know who Leroy is.
Matt. Huge fan, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do the podcast with the guys. It seems really weird to ask you to do something, but can you turn your camera to the side? Something Branch Warren. I really didn't want to do it. Like,
no, it's Branch. Can't ask.
Like, how do I ask Branch to do something for me? What happened?
Hold on 1 second. Tell us.
We get to see some of the merchandise while we're at it.
That is perfect.
Yeah, look, guys, look at that. I've seen this. I was very lucky to be able to touch that.
Yeah, you've been here, right?
Yeah, man. I had a little hold of those. You put them in my hand. They weigh a bit. They're quite heavy, boys.
You gotta go get you one, my man.
Right, I got some fucking work to do, but I'm willing. That's why I wanted to jump in on this conversation to get some inspiration and talk to the boys.
You know Leroy, right? You've met Leroy.
Oh yeah.
How you doing, Branch? How you doing, mate?
Knows Leroy.
Hey, Leroy, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. How's training?
Training's okay. Still in there. Still going through the motions, mate.
Absolutely.
So should I do the intro as I usually do, and then
fire away, Dan. Fire away.
Get on with it.
We'll crack it from there.
Very casual here.
Okay, welcome to 100% or Nothing podcast. This time we've got a full house, but with the massive addition to the legendary Branch Warren. So first up, thank you so much for giving us your time and coming on today. It's greatly appreciated by all. And you're probably the first one that's going to hear me not say a lot.
This has probably been the most nervous Dan.
Usually I talk a lot, but I'm gonna be listening a lot more this time round.
100%.
If you don't know who Branch Warren is, I don't know why the fuck you're watching this podcast. So
sling your hook.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
But if you don't, maybe you would learn something today. So stick in. But Branch has got 8 Olympia appearances under his belt, 2 Arnold wins, and countless other pro wins under his belt. So yeah, if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on, guys.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Who wants to break over questions?
Yeah, but we didn't want to do like the full backstory on yourself, because I'm sure you've done that like 1,000 times on so many podcasts. Like we just wanted to get you on here. Just this channel is really about like trying to keep the old school kind of bodybuilding alive, which we've kind of seen like slip away. I'm sure you'll agree. So we needed Mr. Hardcore himself to give us some tips on. I don't know how do we keep this thing alive, Branch? How do we stop all of the influences taking over? Or I'm pretty sure I saw a quote from you the other day. Actually, I do apologize if it wasn't you. You said, when I was growing up, I learned from bodybuilders, not influencers. Do you think that's the problem nowadays?
No, I think that was for me. I think, I just did an interview not long ago, and they asked me what the difference is. And I said, every generation learns from the generation before them, right? Guys in the 80s learned from the guys in the 70s. Arnold kind of taught those guys. And then guys in the 90s learned from those guys. And, my generation, we learned from the guys in the 90s, And I think this current generation is the first generation that didn't learn from the previous generation. I think they learned from the social media taught them. They give us respect. All the guys do. They're very respectful, but I don't think they really learn from us because they don't do it. They don't train like we do. They don't prepare for competition like we do. They do it totally different. And, it's their sport now. There's a few exceptions. I actually used James. I singled him out the other day on an interview, and I said, James the dinosaur. He's the last of the dying breed. And there's a couple others, but that's it. And nobody really wants to train hard. I mean, I see James in there squatting heavy and squatting hard. Who else does that anymore? We squatted, deadlift, did bench, incline bench, every workout for 25 years. And most of these guys don't even squat anymore. So different training, different attitude, different mindset, and the physiques look different because of it.
Yeah, I agree. I said this the other day, Amp. I said, there's this, I actually I did a podcast in Oslo when I was in Norway with Pjort, who's he's an IFBB judge, really nice guy.
Yeah.
P already. So, and we're talking about bodybuilding to that kind of depth, like you say. And I was talking about the movements, the squats, the barbell rows, and the deadlifts. And I was basically trying to say they're not just movements you do because you're trying to be a good bodybuilder. They're movements you do because you're trying to be a fucking man. Like you're teaching yourself like this level of there's obviously a huge discipline there, but also like being able to cope under pressure. And I always found that bodybuilding was doing multiple things at once. Obviously, yeah, you're developing your physique, but I think we can all agree here the thing that we love the most is going in the gym and just ripping it apart and actually exerting ourselves to feel good and feel like we're actually doing something positive. I feel like now everything's so focused on I suppose everything's more focused on the progress than it is the attributes towards progress. Like the end result, everything's so clinical now, everything's so measured, everything's so specific.
They don't embrace the process.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad to see because I'm not saying that you can't develop things and progress things to become people find shorter cuts to get the same response, essentially, is what they're trying to do. But you don't always want the short road. You want the long road. The long road's the one hard traveled, the one that makes you feel like you had a life and you lived. And I just feel like now bodybuilding is very much so clinically done. Everything's so, like I say, measured. All these training splits are so specific to, okay, this, and this. Instead of just having that like purity to it, where you go in the gym and you just literally take yourself to the edge of your limits, and then you go home and you feel broken, but broken because you've done something worth fucking doing.
Yeah, I think James, there is no shortcut. They're trying to find it. They're trying to reinvent it, but there is no shortcut. There's no fucking shortcut to hard work.
Yeah.
No way. All this fluffy stuff is just, you can do it for 30 years. You'll never build a back like the back was built 2 generations ago or a generation ago. You won't, by not doing squats or leg press or hacks, you won't build legs like we had.
Yeah.
2 generations ago, a generation ago. It's just not going to happen. And you see that on the stage now in the Olympia. You see the physique. The odd one or two stand out. The odd one or two are still old dinosaur and granite. But the rest, I wouldn't pay my money to go and watch them.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that.
We were talking about that, actually. We're talking about going to watch.
Yeah, I know. Well, change the judges. Change the fucking judges. Let's go back to bodybuilding. Let's go back to freaks, hardcore, granite look, the mass. You want to see mass monsters walk out on stage. Not fucking water babies.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a difference. Some people train because they're bodybuilders. I was a bodybuilder because I love to train.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference in that. And that's why I still train the way I do, even being retired for 10 years. To your point, James, on leg day, when you train hard, and you ask any bodybuilder, they say they train hard. It's been my experience in life, about 1 out of 10 actually do.
Yeah.
It's that. But you find out when you do train hard, you find out a lot about yourself as a person and as a man. When you train when you train so hard, you fucking bleed. You bust vessels in your eyes. You deadlift so hard, you rip the fucking skin off your hands. Your shins bleed. Then you find out something about yourself, and it teaches you something. Yeah. And I think there is no substitute for hard work. I don't give a fuck what new invention or scheme or technique or drug they come up with. There's no substitute for hard work.
Yeah.
And I've seen it my entire life. And, I didn't have the best genetics, but I knew I learned early on, I could outwork everybody. And I knew if I outworked them, eventually I could beat them on the stage. If I could beat them in the gym, I could beat them on the fucking stage. Yeah. And I lived it and I proved it. And
you sure did, mate. You sure did.
And there's no substitute for that shit. I got an argument with somebody the other day about that. You know, because I love when you're successful, everybody wants to jump up and tell you how you did it all wrong. You know, and but most of these people that do that, that talk that noise, I'm like, they look like my ball sack.
Yes.
I mean, I'm like, why you want to take advantage? Why you want to listen to this guy? He ain't done shit. He don't know shit, and he looks like my ball sack. And you want to take advice from him? It makes no sense to me. You know, in my day, I looked up to the guys who were better than me, guys at the top of the world, the champions. You know, Dorian Yates was a huge influence on me. You know, because of his training style, his mentality. And I looked at that, and I'm like, I saw a lot of parallels with myself. I'm like, I don't have the prettiest physique, just like he doesn't, but because of his work ethic and dedication and the way he trains, he beat the whole world. And that encouraged me. I grew up in the shadow of Ronnie Coleman in the gym. I trained with him early on, but I didn't have that. You know, Ronnie was a whole different breed. You know, plus he was a hard worker too. I don't take nothing away from that either. Sure. And to your point, you know, these guys put 100 pounds on in like 2 years now. It took me 20 years to put 80 pounds on.
Yeah, it's different quality. It's not there.
You do that, it looks different.
Very, very drug induced.
Yes.
You know? And that's what I just wanted to mention that quickly, like, because I feel like there's this huge overemphasis now on like, no disrespect to peptides. I know some of the guys even here use some of them, but there's a massive, massive emphasis on that from a lot of the young guys. Like they're taking, you know, 5 peptides a day. They're taking insulin, they're taking growth hormone, they're taking that, and then copious amounts of other things. And I'm like, it's become much more of a like a pharmacology game than it has an effort game. You know, like again, like you say, you want to bust your ass through the wall to get to that stage. You don't want to take those shortcuts. You don't want to hop the hurdles. You want to go through the hurdles. And I just feel like everybody's very much trying to find something that will lead them to potentially gain muscle, but without having to do as much. But like you say, with that being done, the maturity and the design and the look behind the muscle doesn't reflect like it used to, because it isn't the same. You know,
the quantity's there, the quality's not.
Yeah. Because we know the guys are big. They are big now. They're big, but they're big and they're not hard. They're not straight. They're not diced.
Not grainy.
Yeah,
not separated. Yeah, 100%.
It's like they can't. It's like even if they are conditions, because they kind of look conditions, it's like it still looks soft. Like even if you were to caliper them up, their body fat's low, but it's just not that hard, dense muscle. Just doesn't look the same. It looks.
Can I ask a question to all of us here? I personally feel like sometimes the judging at the minute is a little bit too generous to people who are big when they're not in shape. I feel like sometimes at some shows, the common denominator of who's in the call-outs are the bigger guys, but a lot of the time, 4 or 5 of the guys aren't actually in what you would say is contest shape, but they still get into those call-outs. And do you think that's a problem with the judging, or do you think that's because I personally feel like it's a problem with the judging. I feel like you're giving this inflated look more stage time and presence, and you're not rewarding someone who's maybe, I don't know, 10 pounds lighter than the next guy, but actually in solid condition. I feel like I see that a lot.
I think they got to judge what's in front of them.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're saying. Yeah. I think sometimes these guys they're hard, but they're lacking body parts. And I think so the judges choose a more complete physique, even though
so
it's
the silhouette.
Yeah, they choose the silhouette and the more complete physique over the conditioned athlete.
For sure.
So I think that happens a lot. So sometimes these guys are bigger and they're better physiques, but they're not in shape. Yeah. But they get the nod over these guys that are
because of being more
got some flaws.
Yeah.
So that's what I see.
That's what I would say. That happens probably 7 out of 10 times. Absolutely, yeah.
Now that being said, I think if you had a Ronnie Coleman or Dorian Yates show up on the scene, they destroy everybody.
Different story.
Different story. You know, you get somebody big, put together, no weaknesses, and the hardest one up there, they'll dominate. So
how would like, you know, Dorian is, you know, let's say 1995, for example, he probably weighed the high 250s, wasn't he, in 95? 257, maybe something like that. He was like pretty heavy.
257, yeah.
Now 5'11", 257. How would that stack up today? Because I never saw him in the flesh. Obviously, you guys did. Yeah, how would it go?
He would have it won, but by the time he walked out and got to center stage, the show would be over.
Yeah, just different level.
Different level.
We need that again.
When I saw him compete in the 90s at the Olympia, you know, he's against Flex and Kevin and Sean and all those Nasser and all those guys. They called them all out. the time he walked out and got to the center stage, I looked at everybody. I'm like, it's over.
Yeah.
Because as he turned, he got better as he turned. He's good from the front, better from the side, and from the rear, no one could touch him.
So for you,
it's a whole different level.
So for you, obviously, Branch, like, because you're known for being not just fucking huge, dense, and muscular, but you've always come in such good condition yourself. Always. I mean, like, hamstrings dug the fuck out, intercostals split, quadriceps fucking straighted. Was you always able to get into that kind of condition, like, forever, or was it something that came as you matured more? Because that's another thing. People talk a lot about muscle maturity. Sometimes people look at someone like a Derek and they say that he's not quite mature enough, or so and so.
When I was 19, when I was 18, I started winning open shows.
Yeah,
in Texas, I won the Mr. Texas Open when I was 19. So I had a lot of muscle maturity, and I was able to always get really hard.
Yeah.
I had a fast metabolism. I think I've had abs my whole life.
Yeah.
I don't think I could get fat. To tell you the truth, my problem now is trying to keep my weight up.
Yeah,
I got to eat so much food just to maintain what I have right now. So, as far as but that next level of drainness and hardness, you're gonna suffer. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get that Olympia, type caliber conditioning, Arnold Classic type caliber conditioning. You're gonna suffer, and it's you find out how bad you want it those last 6 weeks, for sure.
Yeah.
But to your point, I knew that was something I could usually be the hardest one on stage, and as my physique matured, I knew I had two things. I had a lot of muscle on me, and I could get really hard. And I knew if I was 100%, then I could stand with anybody on the planet, And I trained. I had weaknesses. I knew what those were. I would admit to them in public, but I knew what I need to bring up, and I focused on those in my training and brought them up, and combine that with conditioning, and but bodybuilding's pretty simple. Biggest, hardest guy usually wins.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, go on, Leroy.
Vance, you also knew how to pose. When you hit a shot, it was always your fucking good shot, your best shots.
Absolutely.
Freaked a lot of people out. So some of them shots, mate, were incredible, absolutely phenomenal. And you're right. Anyway, on your day, mate, you knock anybody off the planet. It was a pleasure to see you, mate. It really was.
No, and I think the posing, that was something I always practiced in posing. From about 8 to 10 weeks out, I started pose every day after I trained, and I treated it like a workout. I got to training, I drink a shake, and then I posed for 30 to 45 minutes until I was standing on a puddle of sweat after my workout. And because I wanted to make my posing so hard that if I got into a battle on stage,
it would be easy.
It'd be easy. They couldn't win me. We saw this happen at a couple shows here recently. I think a couple years ago at Texas Pro, they had Hunter and Andrew Jack, and it could have gone either way. And I talked to the head judge. I talked to the head judge backstage before the finals, and he goes, "What do you think?" And I kind of said, "Well, I called it how I saw it." He goes, "I agree." He goes, "I'm gonna let them decide," and I knew what that meant. He was gonna make them go 5 or 6 times in a row, all the mandatories, no break.
Yeah.
Finally, Hunter broke, Andrew won, and I'm sitting there thinking, I've been in that position before, and I never lost one of those deals because I paid attention and put effort into my posing, and I want to pose myself harder than anything the judges could do to me. Because imagine training all those weeks, it could go either way, and you fucking lose because the other guy wanted it more than you.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
That's another big negative. Is we saw the lads. They train hard all year round. They fucking build an awesome physique. They look great, and then when they get onto stage, it all falls apart because they've not practiced. You can see they've not practiced the posing. You can tell by the way that the body's shaking and giving up. And when they get 2 or 3 calls out on the trot, they just start to slip through. It's a shame. They start to strip, and drop further back. And because no one's drilled into them that posing, the posing towards your show is as important as your fucking diet and your training. And yet that's not pointing out to them.
Hey, think about this. You're trying to be the best in the world. 7 billion people on the planet. We're trying to be the best in the world of what we do, the best. Yeah. So why would you leave any door open, for your competitors to slip through? Your conditioning, your posing, your tanning, your presentation. You should pay attention to all these and treat it and be serious about it as a professional should be. Because if you're going to be the best in the world, that means you got to have all those things in line and be the best at all of them to win.
Yeah,
so
there's no posing. Yeah, you can't be looking at any of the attributes and being like, oh, that one's not as important. Like they're all just as fucking important as each other.
They're the chains, the links.
Yeah. You're only as strong. Yeah, you're only as strong as your weakest. And if posing's your, if that's your Achilles heel, then you're gonna fucking lose because of it.
I thought this year's Olympia was, in terms of posing, probably the worst I've seen.
That's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Like I thought, well, Andrew Jack just looked lazy, like he'd actually done no posing, like ever. Like his shoulders were up in the side. It was like he just flung. I was much more impressed with the females this year.
I think people get too comfortable, and myself included, we get too comfortable posing in a gym environment where it's kind of like orchestrated, so you look good in that place, in that space, but you're not like you're busy looking in the mirror maybe too much. You're not getting used to the sensation of the pose, because obviously you can pose in the mirror, it's fine, but you've got to be able to turn away and be able to still get pose the same. And I know myself, I've fallen victim to not doing that right, and I think a lot of people don't do that now, because I think there's so much fucking social media and shit going on. Half the time they're posing in the mirror for the camera. So it's like an over-the-shoulder shot of someone in the mirror doing a fucking pose. So it's not really posing practice. It's more social media posing practice. There's some real, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of young guys that pose hard, and I will be honest, most of them guys that are in the classic, I think we're letting open bodybuilding down. I think like us as open bodybuilders, we have a responsibility to keep that as the most entertaining class there is, because it can be. But we have been letting it down because we're just relying so much on what does our physique say rather than how can we present it and what does our physique say. I remember you saying about this actually, Branch. I think you said about the open bodybuilding. Like, I don't know what the words were, but I heard you in one of your interviews, and I kind of agree that it needs to step the fuck up. You know,
it does.
Yeah,
I think open level has fallen, slipped. You know, there was no question back in the day what everybody came to see, and I think that's still the case. But we're seeding the open guys are ceding some ground to these other divisions, specifically the classic guys. And I think because the classic guys come in, their condition is better than the open guys.
They pose better.
Their posing is better. They're more polished, and they still get up there and battle. You know, and so I think a lot of the open guys need to step it up. And I think too, the classic division has hurt the open division, because I think some of the best physiques are in the classic division, and they instead of turning pro like back in my day, you turn pro, you got to put on another 20 pounds to be successful in the open. And that being said, it was hard. It was harder to turn pro back in the day. I mean, when you turn pro, you were good. You could step on a pro stage and you could hold your own. And I think it's a different. I heard Dorian say this. Back in his day, every year there would always be a new guy coming to the mix. They would turn pro and they'd come up because you battled it out at that amateur level. So when you turn pro, you were good.
Yeah.
You could hang.
The pros themselves, there's only a very small circle, very small. They all knew each other, and like you says, every year they'd get one, and you might get one retire. You get one come in every year, different physique, something else, and everyone wanted to beat the new guy, put him in his place, and the new guy wanted to beat the old fellas.
There was definitely a quality upheld when there was the older, like. I'm glad more people can do the sport now than ever, because of course we love this sport and we want it to grow. So it's not all negative, all positive. It's kind of a blend of both.
100%. I think I realize that everybody wants to be a 300-pound open bodybuilder. I get that. All the different girls for the female divisions. I love that. But I think the cash cow in the sport was always open bodybuilding, and I think it's just we ceded some of the ground to some of the other divisions, just because I think the way the guys are coming in, the way they look, their attitude towards it, and it's just not the same. And
Branch, do you think because open's been around the longest, do you think people how trends go in cycles, like denim was in, then it's out, then it's in? Do you think open bodybuilding will come back around bigger and better than before? Not just because of people actually being better, but also because the hype of the other classes might die down a little bit.
I think you're going to see with C-Bomb gone. I think the classic division, we're going to see what happens with that.
It'll be interesting.
He did wonders for that division because his personality and his, what he did for that division. So we'll see how that plays out. I will say right now, without a shadow of a doubt, at the Olympia, the Arnold, the big shows, people are paying to see doping guys. I've seen it time and time again in Orlando. That year, one of the years where they had COVID, I think the open prejudging was on Friday night, and there was like 2 or 3 classes after that. When you guys stepped off stage, 8% of the crowd got up and walked out.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, that's what everybody's still here to see. You know, that's where the open guys still get the big paycheck. But I do think some of the popularity has been ceded, you know, to the classic guys. And, you know, and I said this before, for the first time in the history of the sport, the most popular person was not Mr. Olympia. It was a classic bodybuilding champ, which was C-Bone.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first time ever that happened. So, and I think what we need is, you know, we need somebody makes it cool again. You know, somebody like you, James.
But you know, my thing with that is, do you know what's horrible? Like, I find awkward right now. Like, I think I'm an authentic guy, Branch. I think I'm myself. Yeah, I'm using myself as an example, like you just said there. And I think our style of, I think the people that we are, the hard workers, because we're not, everything's so fucking trend. Like, the people that are getting the viewership and getting the fans are the ones that are actually going out of their way to have these really fancy fucking edits. And they're playing like a whole nother game, which is like the purpose of what they're doing is to obtain an audience. The reason you guys were so fucking mesmerizing to us is because you did it because you were riding alone, you were hungry for something, and people like me related to you because I didn't care if anybody ever watched me bodybuild. I only cared about being good at what I did. I cared about bodybuilding. I wasn't trying to get like 1,000 fucking people to say, you know, well, you're fantastic. I wanted to prove to myself that I could be the best at something. And now what people want to be the best at has this whole extra branch because they're actually always now considering, oh, how do I be the most popular? And that's the problem is I've worked with companies, you know, supplement companies and stuff like that. The things that are trendy are coming away from the fucking hard work. And it actually upsets me because you're almost like a lot of these people, they expect you to do some raunchy TikTok shit to make something popular. And I understand you have to go with the times a little bit, but it detracts so heavily from the organic roots of what we are. Like I wish I could just like I want to be just myself and just train and do my thing. I love putting content out, don't get me wrong. I'm happy to film, train and stuff like that. But I always feel like I'm getting pushed the fucking side by people that are much more in tune with the current climate, if you know what I mean. And I find that really frustrating.
I was just myself.
Yeah.
You know, all those videos, everything. I hated being filmed. I hated it with a passion. Yeah. And you know, if somebody pulled out a phone or a video camera when I was training, I got pissed. Yeah. You know, because I wasn't there for that. I didn't give a shit about being popular. I didn't give a shit about being filmed. I could care less. You know, I kind of wish I would have because I missed a lot of really good lifts and some good things I wish I kind of had now. But at the time, I didn't care about it. And I wasn't there for that. If you took my focus off my session, I was mad because I was there for one reason, to train. Yeah. And every time I stepped in the gym, I wanted to do better than the previous time. And if you took my focus off my session, you were going to get my wrath. And you know, I remember a guy one time pulled out a phone, tried to film me. And as I'm taking a squat bar off the rack, I put it back on the rack, I grabbed his phone, and I threw it out the freaking warehouse door into the parking lot. And I'm like, you don't do that shit, man. I'm like, this ain't fun, you know. I'm like, there's a sign at the front. Leave your fucking cameras in your car. You know, that ain't what this is for. But now, I mean, dude, you go to the gym, there's tripods and this and that.
No.
It's a different.
What would Branch do if he was in his prime now during this generation? Because I think you would end up killing people, mate.
Yeah, man.
That was the question I was going to ask, actually. How would you cope if you're like, because we honestly, like James says, everybody's got obligations for sponsors and stuff. Whereas back in the old days, you would get paid money to go away and train and then come back at the contest looking awesome. Now it's kind of the other way around, isn't it? It's now you get paid to make content. And it used to be the most boring guy won, didn't it, years ago? As long as you came to the stage and kicked everybody's ass. But now it's just total flip now.
I'm so glad that I came up in the generation I did. You know, honestly, it was better, you know, in my opinion.
100%.
You know, because you trained your ass off, you worked your ass off for months, you showed up at the competition, you did well, you won, you went and you shot some stuff for a couple of weeks, you know, satisfied all of your agreements with your sponsors and all your contractual obligations. You give them guest pose a little bit, and then as soon as that was over, I locked down and I started training for the next one.
Back in the office.
As long as you did good, you were good. You know, your sponsors understood. They left you alone, and it was easy. And you got to do what you love to do, which was train and prepare. And I think that contributes too to a better physique. You know, when you can lock down for several months and just focus and train and not have to worry about anything but that, you're going to get better.
I am like the boys know, I'm building a gym in the garden right now this month. because I've had enough of being outside. Like I'm at that point where I'm like, I know the reality of being a better bodybuilder than I am and what it takes, and it's exactly what you're speaking about there. And it may cost me. Listen, I'm building this home gym. It might mean that supplement sponsors don't want to fuck with me no more because I'm putting myself in an isolated experience. But I care more about being the best I can be before I retire.
Yeah.
So I totally know that feeling because I live like that every day. I get frustrated with how things are now because it always feels like there's so much noise and it's almost not allowed to be the person that you're speaking about that you were. And I grew up watching you. So of course I want to be that because I wouldn't have been interested in bodybuilding unless I saw someone like yourself doing it. So yeah, that's why I just wanted to ask, like, how would you deal with today? Because it's
I don't know, man. I'd
fucking
probably be
noisy,
poor.
man.
I'd probably be broke bodybuilder because I don't
You
know,
wouldn't
man.
want to do that. Yeah, no, I hear that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's different. You know, the trade-off I think back in the day was we didn't have social media, but we had to travel a lot.
Yeah.
I'd go to Europe for 2 or 3 weeks at a time after a competition, and go on tours, guest posings, et cetera, et cetera. But we got paid really good to do it. Contracts I think were better back then.
Yeah,
from the company, self-station, supplement companies, publishing companies, things like that. So had to go satisfy those things, and then you came back and they left you alone. But the good thing, even when I was on tour, I had 2 requests. I need this much food every day. This is what I need. I need to train. And sometimes I went to gym at midnight. Sometimes I went to gym at 5 a.m. But I never missed a workout.
Yeah.
And that was my priority every day, was get my food in and get my workout in. And but then once I got home, then I was back on my schedule.
Yeah.
As much as but it's now, I don't know, man. It's just constant content.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I have social media because it's a necessary evil.
Dude, it's content, and it's content with a smile. When we're all like, we're in the gym to release some aggression. It's like you're fucking having to change who you are, and that never sits well.
How
That
many
never
times you
sits
see
well.
me smile?
Dude, like only when you're not in the gym and we're having a chat. Like if you're in the gym, you ain't fucking smiling for shit. I've trained with you. There ain't no smiles in the gym. It's just
No.
all sweat and it's all grunting. There's nothing else. And
That's
that's what it should be. That's what it fucking should be.
Battlefield.
I love that. And you get these people.
You shouldn't be like a fun person to train with. You can train it seriously. It's not fun. It's enjoyable in a different way, but it's not fun games and like, hey, let's fucking do this shit and whatever.
Me and Johnny, we would train. Sometimes we would train from Arnold, Olympia, whatever. We walk in, not even speak to each other.
Yeah, man.
There's no highs, no hellos, no nothing. We walk in, we would fucking train the whole session and leave, not even say goodbye. And it was cool. And those were some of the best workouts I ever had. And it wasn't, nobody got to hear your feelings hurt or nothing.
Yeah.
We ain't there for that. We ain't there to fucking hang out and talk shit. We're there to train.
Yeah.
And we would leave, walk in, train and leave. And I remember one time somebody goes, man, do you guys even talk to each other? I'm like, why the fuck would I talk to him? I'm here to train. Yeah. And most people don't understand that,
Oh, those are the best work. Like Leroy, obviously, and Steve Avery. This was one of my first mentors. He's a British bodybuilder, older guy, bit of a legend. Same shit. From like 2 weeks out, it was just a grunt and then no eye contact. Grunt, no eye contact. Just do your set. And I loved it. I was like, I was probably 18, 19 at the time. That's bodybuilding, guys. That's fucking bodybuilding. That's why I like jumping on with the guys, because this is the shit we're reminiscing about, because it's kind of hard to find far and few now. You literally do have to build a private gym or a private space to be able to get away from the noise, because gyms now, you go in there and like you said, there's just tripods everywhere, but also there's different behavior, and the behavior isn't conducive to people that are about it in the manner that we are.
Yeah, they all think they're fucking superstars, don't they? All walking around with an entourage, fucking a feel, someone to hold the camera, someone to hold the towel, someone to hold their water, and they're doing fuck all. But the problem is, another problem there is at the moment, mate, is the bodybuild, well, the sort of the gyms, they're crammed, absolutely crammed with gullible people. Gullible, they're all fucking gullible. They're all believing what they're seeing on the social media. They're all being taken in by it. And that's another sad thing. And then they'll come to the gym and you'll see them fucking performing what they're seeing on social media. And all they're doing is getting in your way. And it does make you grumpy. It does make
I sound like a grumpy. I'm 36.
Oh, it does, mate.
I sound like I'm 65. I'm terrible.
but back in the day, so let's say you worked in the gym and you didn't speak to somebody, people would understand, but now they would think you're a prick.
Oh yeah, I think I mean, I'm still, you know me. I go to the gym. I'm there to train. Even now, I'm there to train. Even when I'm training somebody, they only get the words of command. I'll show them what to do, how to do it, and then as they're doing their sets, I'll be talking them through it. Keep your shoulders up, keep your head fucking up, do this, do that. Yeah. There's no conversation. Afterwards, when we finish, there might be a bit of a conversation. Thank you very much. And they fuck off. Might be, but we understand that. We understand why we were going to the gym. We understand what we were going into. Your bum started twitching the night before because you knew what was coming. So you want to, like Brand says, every workout you're there to beat your last workout. You're only there to beat yourself. So you know what's coming. So you ain't got time for conversation. After your set, once you finish your set, you're sitting down or you're stood there catching your breath, getting ready for the next set. You ain't got the breath to talk, to have a conversation, to have a laughing joke. But that, as you said, that's all gone now. And you can tell that by the noise in the gym. Everyone's having a good social evening or a good chat or whatever.
This might sound bad, but sorry, Branch, go on.
Okay. So I was going to say it was 2012. I came to Metroflex in 1992. I've been in that gym for 20 years. And I was in there, and there's a bodybuilder in there. He was in there longer than I was. He was in there pretty much the same time we were every day. I didn't know his name. I've been there for 20 years, and he was in the gym every day we were in there. And I asked one of my partners or something that was training with us, and I said, man, what's that guy's name? He goes, you don't know that guy? He goes, man, he's been here for like 20 years. I go, I don't fucking talk to nobody. I go, I don't know his fucking name. I go, if I know his fucking name, he thinks he can talk to me. And he interrupts my workout. I don't want to talk to him.
What's about eye contact? Eye contact?
Yeah. And I go, I didn't know anybody in the gym hardly because I didn't talk to him. I walked in and I trained and I left. And just saying, the guy had been there for 20 years with me. I didn't know his name.
That's just pure focus, though, isn't it? That's just because you're so focused. You're so focused on what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I go, if I know his name, then he's going to think he can talk to me, interrupt me. I go, that's going to piss me off. I said, I don't know anybody here. So
that's the word. That's the word, James. Focus.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist no more. Focus.
Branch, can I ask you a question about your training style? Because it's something that has come up over many years. I think Branch trains like an idiot and swinging the weights around, all that bullshit. But it obviously worked for you. Like the results show that. Did you always train like that from the outset, or was it something that you kind of honed as your career went on?
Look at how Ronnie. I walked in that gym in '92, and my first competition I trained with, Ronnie was so amateur. I trained with him. This other guy, Mark, who was actually bigger than Ronnie was.
Yeah, he said Mark.
And that's how I learned from. I mean, I do what they did. You look at Ronnie's form. Ronnie's form wasn't the best, but it's not about that. You're always, I've never once told anybody to train the way I do. If you can take something from what I do and incorporate it into your program, it's a win. What I did worked for me. I was always in control of the weights. Any injury I got was never in the gym. I always got hurt, out doing something else, some crazy shit outside the gym. But so I never got hurt in the gym. And so I mean, these same people that jump up and down and scream how I'm doing it all wrong. What have they done?
Fuck all.
I mean, very rarely see another top pro criticize another pro and he's training how he trains.
Yeah. So, have you ever heard anyone that's actually ever been able to even place higher than Branch say that Branch doesn't train properly? Never. Anyone that's the only small few people that have ever even placed above Branch talk about how great a bodybuilder he fucking is. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, unless you've done what I do, or unless you've even on my level, what's the fucking point saying anything?
I'll say this, and I'll say it right now. Everybody who's listening to this, I just turned 51 years old this week. All you people out there, you fucking form police, you think you know so much, come train with me.
Yeah. I know they're good sessions. You ain't getting a pump. You're not getting a pump like a Branch Warren pump. Trust me. I'll tell you that. When I train a Branch, I double in size. It's ridiculous.
I just remember one thing that Branch said, and it was like, okay, my form might not be perfect, but he said, I feel the muscle perfectly. So from the outside, maybe someone's like, oh, connection or whatever. If you connected perfectly with the muscle, with everything you did, and you had that connection, and it did what it did, it fucking did it. Do you know what I mean?
I personally feel like the reason that Branch was so complete is because of the way that you trained. Because me and Amph spoke about this before. Like, for example, like a barbell row. it's a movement where there should be a little bit of like inertia. There should be like a movement occurring in like symbiotically between multiple muscle groups. So you're not, when you're doing a fucking barbell row, you're not standing there like a stiff plank and just moving your elbows, are you? The whole point is that you've got some inertia from the lower back. You've got a bit of you've got lats working, traps working, rear delts. The people that I see train very, very specifically with no what we call body English look like actual odd body parts. They never look like everything flows. And I think your body looks different when you don't train almost in that fashion. That's why I used to like doing, the barbell rows and dumbbell rows, for example. That little bit of like a little bit of movement in the body. Everything just flows and works together. You get pumped in the fucking shoulders, you get pumped in the arms, you get pumped in the back. Like everything's working fucking hard. I see people now and they look like fucking, they look like dummies. They're fucking standing there, honestly. They're standing there and they're like, oh, if you even move this much when you do a barbell row, it's a complete waste of time. Stop your set, it's done. That's why you look like shit. That is why you look like shit.
Well, sometimes those guys look like they've got a nice physique in the gym, but when they stand on stage, when they've got no like front to back thickness out of them,
body parts
like,
missing,
it's not molded together. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
Well, now they have to do top-up sessions, right? Because they're not using multifaceted exercises that hit a little bit of something else. Like now they're doing an isolation and then later doing a top-out isolation to try and fill the gap that they could have just done.
The gap would have got filled if you were lifting with a little bit of like ferocity. Yeah, for example, the barbell used to do the military press branch. Aggressive as fuck. Love that shit. But that builds not just fucking shoulders. That builds chest, shoulders, triceps. Even like your spine is working under that load and contracting. That builds thickness through the entire fucking body. That's what you don't see these days because everybody starts to go, oh, my form's breaking down. And it's like, it's not breaking down. What you're doing is you're moving a lot of weight by using your body as one rather than fucking trying to be this Mr. Strict. I think you're more risky, actually. I think you're more likely to get injured sometimes by trying to overload something.
100%, James. I was going to ask this question as well because I see so many, like, don't get me wrong, I've got lots of injuries now, but I've been training for like 30 years. I didn't get my first serious injury till maybe 20 years in. You've got guys now like 20 years old who've been training for like a year. Oh, my elbow's fucked and I've torn my tricep or I've torn pec. I think it's because they are trying to be too precise and too like isolated with everything. I think that's 100%. Why you're getting young guys getting injured so early in their career. Yeah, I agree. Branch, you got beat to shit, but it was probably the back end of your career, yeah, after many, many years of bending steel.
Yeah, and I got hurt, like I said, always outside the gym. I never got hurt in the gym. And guys, it's real simple. I think people overthink it too much. It's about putting as much blood into the muscle as you can possibly put into that muscle, work that muscle till failure, rest, recover, repeat. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, these people with their scientific bodybuilding, I mean, that's all fine and good in your textbook, but there's what works in textbook and there's what works in reality. Yeah. In reality, there's no substitute for hard work. You pick that dumbbell up, you're working whatever muscle, that barbell, and you move it until you can't fucking move it anymore. And we can't move it anymore. You get fucking mad and get 2 or 3 more out of it.
Yeah.
Catch your breath, pick it up, do it again. Go home, eat, sleep, get up, and repeat.
Absolutely.
That's how you grow. That's how you do it. I mean, I was with Ronnie one time. We're doing a seminar, and they go, man, how do you describe your training style? He goes, well, I lift the maximum amount of weight I can lift for the maximum number of reps I can lift it. I rest, pick it up, do it again.
Yeah.
It works.
Just put yourself through it. It's work. It's called work. Yeah. You got to work.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a certain point where, you get stupid or something, but when you're not feeling what you're trying to work, that's a problem. Yeah, but I feel the shit out of everything I work. Every time I trained a muscle, it got sore, and it's just that's all it is. And I think people put too much on it. To your point, I think some of these people get so strict and so isolated. I think that's one of the reasons you see some of these injuries because I know James, you're super in control. Your mind muscle control. Yeah. Right. If you sit there, if you're doing, something and you're putting so much emphasis trying to be so strict and push, you pop it loose.
For me, that feels like I'm just literally abusing a tendon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's got to be some elasticity, a little bit of, your shoulders when you're bench pressing. For me, for example, if I'm pressing, I let that shit move a bit. I'm not trying to stop this all from moving entirely. Like people are so, And then all that's doing in my head is putting the maximum amount of stress through the weakest point of the movement.
Absolutely.
So I avoid that shit. That's why I like throwing around some fucking dumbbells like you do. Like I've trained with you, and we just like throwing shit around. And to be fair, when I've thrown shit around, that is when my body reflects the most in terms of like density. That's when it looks its most worked. I've tried that. I did 1 year. Listen, I trained last year. I changed my training, having worked with somebody, and I lost a lot of muscle that year from trying to be too strict. And that's just facts. That's just facts.
Well, here's the observation of like, and I bring this up quite a lot, is looking around the gym, we fucking lost Branch.
You might have had a phone call coming in or saying he just pressed the
Yeah,
thing
but for this next part, I think because we've been here, should we just fire through these questions?
Yeah, sorry, I was waffling loads. It's my fault.
No, it's great.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just like talking to Branch. I'll just pick his brains.
Yeah, it's great. Like it is.
Hold on, he's back. He's back.
But should I fire through it, or do you want to ask one of these out for?
Branch is back.
He's back.
Perfect, guys. I don't know what. I'm doing something weird. Y'all see me?
We can see you sideways now. It might have just orientated itself.
Tip and tip again or something.
How about that?
And if you turn it one more time, Branch, it might go back to where it was. It might be because the thing is. There you go.
There we go.
Gotcha.
All right.
There we go.
We won't keep you too much, Branch, because we know you're a busy man. I know we said we wouldn't keep you too long. So Dan's got a couple of questions for you.
The quick fire questions that some of these we got online or whatever. Did you do any other sport before bodybuilding?
Yeah, I played football. So to kind of give you history, I grew up in West Texas on a cattle ranch, and grandfather was a cowboy. A lot of my family, we were ranchers, and so I was going to be a bull rider. So I was learning to ride bulls, and then we moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and my mother hated the bull riding thing because it's not a matter of if, it's just when you get hurt, and so wanted to make the football team, so I started slipping in the back door of this gym and working out. Met this bodybuilder, was almost 300 pounds. I didn't know a guy could look like that. Long story short, I turned to be Ronnie Coleman's workout partner. He took me to Metroflex and entered a show that summer and won it. And there you go. That's how I started.
So football was the precursor, got you in there.
Almost every American bodybuilder I've talked to, that was kind of the precursor that got them into bodybuilding.
Mm.
There's a big connection in America to the gym and the American football. So it's a good entry point, isn't it?
Yep. Because if you're on the football team, that's usually where most guys get introduced to weights. Because you're on the team, you have to work out. You got to squat, you got deadlift, you got to bench press, do all this stuff, power cleans and stuff. And so, guys like myself have loved it. And I realized after a couple of years, I'm like, I can be really good at this. And so that was what I pursued.
The other question that kind of linked to what you said before about you kind of wish that you'd maybe recorded a little bit more. Is there any sessions that like stand out where you like ones that you like remember over others?
Oh, for sure. I never got like a really good leg session on film for whatever reason. Leg was my favorite thing to train. And for whatever reason, I just never, every time I filmed legs, it never was just one of those days, sometimes what I'm talking about. You walk in, you just fucking kill it. And it was always never on film. I had some leg days that were epic, and every PR I ever set was we never caught it on film. So
I would love to see that. I would love seeing some Branch Warren PRs. But it's probably the reason again is just because when the camera's out, it's a little bit off-putting, isn't it?
I think it distracts you. Yeah. It's squat and deadlift, and we had some epic squat and deadlift battles back in the day.
Yeah.
And so I wish we could have got some of that. I mean, even bench, I was super strong on chest. And there was days I remember repping 500 pounds for like 7 reps with a pause. And the form police couldn't even talk shit. I was doing it, training for power to meet, and with the pause and everything, and we didn't film me that. So I wish me and Johnny, after we retired, I go, damn, I wish we could record some of that. He goes, man, you were such a Nazi about anybody with a camera, bro. Yeah. He goes, man, you went off on them and threw their cameras away. He goes, I would have been kind of open to it a little bit. He goes, now we're retired. He goes, you're open to it. He goes, now Johnny's not. He don't want to be filmed.
He don't want to be filmed. Yeah.
So,
is there anything you would have changed or adapted looking back?
When you retire, you look back, when I was competing, I was never satisfied. No matter what I won, what I did, I would look at the pictures, the video after the show, and I'd get irritated because I'm like, I need to improve this, I need to do this, I need to hold that shot longer. And I was super, super critical of myself. And I was on stage at the Olympia. And Jay looked over me one year and he goes, man, take this in if you can. He goes, we're going to miss this one day. And he was right. Because I never could take it in. I don't think he did either. I talked to him later about it. Because you're so focused on the next one. I wish I could have taken it in and enjoyed it. Because, man, I had a blast. Those 15 years I competed as a pro, I traveled the world, over 60 countries, all 50 states, made friends all over the world, and I had a blast. And everything I have in my life, I would have bodybuilding, either directly or indirectly. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't want to do it over again. But, when it was all said and done, and I was away from it for about 3 years, I remember seeing a video and some pictures, and I was like, man, I did all right. I looked okay. And but I had to be away from it for a few years before I could, come to that. And then you start thinking, okay, what could I have done to be better? And I go back and I examine my whole career, my training, my nutrition, this, that, like the drug thing. I mean, I took like 3 things, maybe I should have took more drugs. I don't know. That's kind of seems what everybody did, but I don't think I would have changed it if even if I knew that. So I don't know what I could have done different. I think getting injuries, I think set me back a couple years, because you figure the time that you got to take off to recover from that, on a combination of, 3 or 4 injuries I had, definitely set me back. But that being said, after every injury, I came back and I won a show.
So Arnold after 6 months.
Yeah, that was 2011, right? And then you come and then you won 2 consecutive Arnolds.
So so I don't know what would I do different. I think I would have tried to take it in and enjoy it a little more than I did. So
that was a great answer.
What age did you retire, Branch?
I was 41. I turned pro at 26, and I retired at 41.
So it's a nice long career, man.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd compete beyond mid-30s, 34, 35, but
I suppose when you were doing well, like, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Your shows determine when you stop. Like sometimes, well, your body, like I remember you were saying, you just know when time is time.
Yeah.
But I think we all kind of set a limit. We say, okay, I probably should be done by this age. But if you're having good results, you're a bodybuilder. You ain't gonna fucking stop.
No, you keep going. Yeah, and I was just hit my stride. So, I thought, okay, by the time I'm 34, 35, I'll be done.
Yeah,
but dude, I was just in my best at that point, just getting better. So, I was having a blast doing it. So, but when the time comes, you'll know.
Yeah, for sure. I tell you, it's certainly like bodybuilding is certainly different after you have your child, but in a good way. Like I don't know. Obviously, you had your first. Well, how many years ago now? 11, 12?
My first was 14 years ago. I had 14?
her. Bloody hell,
I tore my quad. I was coming back from that, preparing for the Arnold. Trish was pregnant. Faith was born February 6th. Arnold was like March 2nd. So like 3 or 4 weeks before the Arnold, I had my daughter. And I'm, battling my quad, coming back from that. And I went to Arnold, won the Arnold. And went to Australia, won that one.
Yeah, man.
And so that was the best month of my life. So,
I can't think you can top that with anything. Don't think you can ever top that.
With having a kid, and you can probably testify to this too. Bodybuilding makes you selfish and self-centered. You think about yourself before you think about anybody else.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not like that naturally, you become that because it's all about you. Your training, your nutrition, your rest, your recovery, blah, blah, blah. And so, when I had Faith, for the first time in a long time, I thought about somebody else before I thought about myself. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, with when Faith was born, because the way I kind of felt with Haley being born is that I got more reason to try and do fucking well now. Like even more reason to not give up. When you've had your hard days and you're like, oh, I didn't get the result I want. I was always motivated anyway, but it's almost like when she was born, I was like, I've got even more reason now. So I'm just wondering if, when you had her, obviously you hit your stride when you had her. So it was kind of the lottery at once. But did it give you a lot of energy for a long time to keep working hard?
Yes. I mean, because now you've got a family, it's, when I got married, it motivated me because now I had a wife to, to take care of. And then once you have a child, though, that's a different deal because they're 100% dependent on you.
Yeah.
And, I was bound and determined, to not fail. So whatever it took. So.
It's again, I say to people about being a parent, it's like until you're one, you kind of like mock it a little bit. You kind of like, it's like, but then when it happens to you, you do realize that you go to bed like without going too deep. I go to bed at night. The last thing I think about is my daughter, and when I wake up in the morning, first thing I'm thinking about is my daughter. It's just automatic, and you got to use it as an energy in your gym, you know, in your training, because you can provide, because we can provide from this. So, yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, man,
I agree.
I think probably
Sorry, Dan.
You go. I've chatted too much.
I was going to say for the final one, should we choose the Arnold Classic winner, because we've just been
That's
speaking
exactly
about
what I was going to say.
Yeah,
anyway.
Because it's not far away, and like due to the kind of criteria that they're going with, I'm going to say Andrew Jack. What does everybody else think? Branch?
Martin Fitzwater.
Martin.
Yeah, I just saw him 2 weeks ago. Dude, he's actually put on a little bit of muscle. Same type of conditioning we saw him at in Prague. He's on point, so that's what I'm pulling for.
There's the battle. I'm friends with quite a few of the guys, so I'm kind of like, oh, who the fuck do I vote for? Like, it's not on paper. Because it's so tough. Because I feel like there's like three guys that can win.
Who's the three?
Well, I think Martin's one of them because, again, physical balance. I think if you look at the shape of the guy, and then if you think of Andrew, I think Andrew's got such momentum from the last year, third at the Olympia. I think that's something you can't take into, you can't not think about. And then obviously you got a former Mr. Olympia in Hardy. So it's like,
you think about Nick Walker.
I think Nick's good, but I still think with Nick, it's like against people who are as balanced as those three, it's a troublesome time. If Nick's quads from the front were like in same comparison to the rest of his body, I could see him winning any show that he does if he's on point. But I just feel with Nick front on, there's just something not quite right with the quad still. From the side, his quads are ridiculous. From the back, they're ridiculous. But from the front, I just still feel like they need something more going on, because you have to find something to pick out. And that's me just being like, okay, what's the first flaw I see in any of them boys? That's probably the first thing I could call out and say, I notice there's a little bit of disparity there.
Do you think it's like edema slightly from? He's got the varicose veins and stuff.
I think it's just insertions. I think his quads insert differently. Like they just don't have that high hips. You know, if your quads are like branches insert at the hip very high, you get that sweep from the top. My quads sweep from quite high up. But I know it's genetic. I know it's not. I haven't done some particular thing that Nick hasn't done. But Nick's legs have grown, and he does train them very thoughtfully and very methodically. But I just think that's one of those genetic traits that, if he's in a lineup with someone who's got the perfect balanced body, because bodybuilding is about the balance, like Branch said earlier with proportions, Martin is very proportionate. I'd say Andrew's pretty damn proportionate as well. And Huddy's obviously proven to be because he's won the Olympia. So that would be probably the three that I'm. But it'd be interesting to see Martin, because I haven't seen much on Martin for a long time. So you got to bear in mind, he's the youngest guy, and he's the one making leaps and leaps and leaps of progress.
Come on, James, you've got to give one. You're not allowed to pick three. You've got to give one.
Well, I think because Branch is here, and because of what he said, he's seen him. I trust Branch's eye, so I'm gonna say if he thinks Martin can win, then I'm gonna say Martin can win.
Yeah, my pick isn't based on who I think should win. Like, I just think the way that the judging criteria is, if they're all in shape, they're probably going to give it to Andrew. My personal pick would probably be Hadi or Nick. I like that type of physique.
Yeah,
just from a judging perspective. So I guess we'll see in end of the month, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd say the predictions are all bullshit until they step on stage.
Yeah, nothing means anything. Someone could fluff it up last minute.
Because we could have Rafi, one of these guys,
just come in
and smoke everybody. So
yeah.
I hate doing these predictions, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't means nothing. And how somebody looks on Monday before the show doesn't mean shit when the show gets there.
No. So. You got bear in mind, we got Brandon, we got Mo Fado, who looks incredible right now. Like there's a lot of talent here, and like Branch said earlier, with bodybuilding, a lot of it is about working hard, but not just working hard, but how long are you willing to work hard for? Because those who break down first, they lose their spot, and the people that are still willing to work fucking hard take the spot. So maybe there's a couple of guys in there that are a little bit older, maybe been working hard for a few years. The steam might not be, the steam train might not be rolling like it once was. And then other guys, young guys, are fucking really fired up. So it'd be interesting to see if there's a change of guard or not yet. So we'll see.
I think if everybody, I'm going to be real interested to see how hot he looks. In light of all the things going on.
He must be stressed, man.
Yeah, I mean, and so that and it takes a very strong person to block all that stuff out and isolate yourself. And with what's going on right now politically and everything, and things being said about him, will he be able to come in and be at his best? I don't think we've really seen him at 100%. For a couple of years, I think his legs, faded a little bit this last year at the Olympia. So, that doesn't mean he can't bounce back and be better than ever. But I'm going to be very interested to see how he handles all this stress and everything, and how he shows up on stage.
Yeah, like I said, the mental aspect of bodybuilding is relatively difficult. But then if you throw in external pressures as well, like ones as big as this, then you're really going to see like the fortitude of the man behind the body. So I wish him luck, because I think I've trained with Hardy before, and he's a bodybuilder. Just because he's from the Middle East and it looks like he uses fancy equipment, that dude does a fucking shit ton of work in the gym, man. I was blowing out my asshole trying to keep up with him. He's a freak. He's very deserving of having that Olympia title he has, and those Arnold titles, that Arnold title as well. Absolute machine. I would even go to use the word menace in the gym.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he should have gotten one or two more than he's had.
Yeah, I reckon early. I think the prior years, there was a couple of years earlier where he just wasn't quite. It's almost like when I felt Ramy looked his best was actually slightly before Ramy was awarded, in my opinion. So it's kind of the same thing with him.
Yep.
But yeah, interested.
All right, man. Well, we won't be any longer, Branch. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for coming on, and obviously everyone else for joining.
Oh, we were just here to be just to check out Branch.
We were all
here to catch up with Branch. We're happy he's here. So again, I'm glad I jumped on. Thank you, and good to see you again, mate.
Well, James, Ant, I got something I was holler at y'all about later offline. So I'll reach out y'all, and got something going on.
Awesome.
So want to try to include you guys in it.
Yeah, sounds awesome, man.
Right?
Absolutely.
If Branch Warren's involved, I'm in.
Yeah. don't even care what it is. I'm in. Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Branch, and we'll catch up soon. Yeah.
Take care.